Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into a piece of history today. The Battle of Adwa.
Oh, yeah.
You know, this incredible victory against Italian forces back in 1896.
Right.
It's a classic David and Goliath story, isn't it? Ethiopia standing up to European colonialism.
It really is. And it wasn't just about Ethiopia, was it? It was about the whole continent resisting this idea that European powers could just come in and take what they wanted.
Exactly. But here's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
We're going to be focusing on a group whose involvement hasn't been fully explored, like, at all.
Not really, no.
The Dawuro people.
Right.
And we're working with this document called NDF.pdf.
Yeah.
Which is basically a call to recognize their contribution.
A big call to action, you could say.
Yeah.
For historians to dig deeper, to really solidify the Dawuro people's place in this narrative.
Okay, so let's just set the stage for a second.
Sure.
We're talking 1896. Italy's trying to expand their empire. And Ethiopia is like, nope, not going to happen.
Absolutely not.
People from all over the country rallied to the cause.
Like a wave it was.
And they ended up winning this decisive victory.
Which, by the way, sent shockwaves across the world.
Totally. It showed that colonial powers weren't invincible.
Exactly.
And it really became this symbol of African resistance.
A huge symbol.
So back to the Dawuro people.
Yeah.
This document we're looking at, it claims they had a big part in this.
It does, yeah.
But it's not just saying, oh, they were there.
No.
It's asking, how many were there?
Right.
Who was their leader at the time? How did they actually help win this thing?
Big questions.
Right. Like, after all this time, how do we even find that out?
Well, the document actually suggests that we start by, looking for existing accounts. It mentions that a lot of writers documented the Dawuro people's involvement.
Wow. So it's like there's a chance this information is already out there, just waiting to be rediscovered.
Like hidden treasure.
Oh.
Almost.
Yeah, exactly. Wouldn't that be amazing? Like, to uncover a whole new chapter in this story.
Especially for the Dawuro people. To have their ancestors' bravery recognized.
Totally. I mean, this document really emphasizes that point.
Oh, yeah.
It says this history needs to be in the new Adwa Victory Commemorative Museum.
Oh, that's interesting.
So it's not just about academics,
Right.
It's about national identity, about how we remember our past.
Whose stories get told, right?
Exactly. It makes you wonder about all the other hidden figures in history, waiting for their moment.
And this document is a reminder that history isn't static, it's alive. It's constantly evolving as we find new evidence.
It's like we're rewriting a piece of history, right?
We are, potentially. We're giving voice to the unsung heroes, like the Dawuro people.
Okay, so speaking of the Dawuro people, let's just talk a little about them.
Yeah.
They weren't just some random group, were they?
Oh, no, not at all.
They have their own rich history.
Absolutely.
Their own culture, their own traditions.
Deeply connected to the land they are.
So understanding all of that is important to know why they would even join this fight in the first place.
To graft their motivations, yeah. It's not just about being there. It's about understanding why they were there.
And what their participation reveals about the bigger picture, right?
Absolutely. It's about weaving their story into the tapestry of Ethiopian history.
Okay, but here's the thing that's been bugging me.
Yeah.
If they were so crucial to this victory, why haven't we heard more about them?
Good question. It really makes you think, doesn't it? About how history gets written, about whose voices get amplified.
Yeah, like we often just get one side of the story.
It can feel that way, yeah.
And this deep dive, this is all about challenging that.
About finding those missing pieces.
Yeah.
The untold stories that make history so much richer.
This document, it's like a treasure map, isn't it? Pointing us towards a whole world of potential knowledge just waiting to be unearthed.
That's a great way to put it.
And who knows what we'll find?
I know, right?
Maybe details about their military tactics, their relationships with other groups.
Or even the role their leader played in the battle itself.
I think this is a good spot to pause, actually.
Yeah.
Give our listener a chance to, process all this new information.
To think about what they find most intriguing about the Dawuro people and their potential role in this whole thing.
We'll be back in just a bit to delve even deeper into this fascinating piece of history.
Can't wait.
Me neither. All right, so we're back, and we're still talking about the Battle of Adwa.
That's right.
And this really interesting idea that the Dawuro people might have been a key part of it all.
Might have been, yeah.
We were talking about why their story hasn't gotten more attention. Like, if they were so important, why haven't they been given more credit?
Well, it's possible that the focus has always been on the bigger players, the groups that we already know a lot about.
Right. Right.
It's easy to kind of, I guess, simplify history,
Yeah,
right?
totally.
Create these big narratives that don't always tell the whole story.
Exactly. And that's where this whole deep dive comes in.
That's right.
It's like we're challenging those simplified versions, you know?
And finding the nuances.
Yeah, the hidden layer.
The things that make history so much more interesting.
Because the Dawuro people, they hold a crucial piece of this puzzle.
They do?
Without them, the picture just isn't complete.
Absolutely.
And this document, it goes beyond just saying, oh yeah, they were there.
Oh, for sure.
It's like, let's actually figure out how many soldiers they had,
right.
What kind of strategies they used,
Mm-hmm.
Did their actions actually influence the outcome of the battle itself?
It's amazing to think about.
Can you imagine
Wow.
finding like battle plans?
Oh, wow.
Or personal accounts?
That would be incredible.
Or even some archaeological evidence that shows us how they fought.
That would change everything, wouldn't it?
Totally. It's not just about adding their names to a list of participants.
Right.
It's about understanding how they helped make this victory happen.
It shows the collective nature of it all, you know?
Right.
All these different groups coming together with their own motivations and contributions.
And this document, it really stresses that point.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about celebrating the Dawuro people.
It's about seeing them as part of this bigger picture.
The bigger story of Ethiopian unity.
And recognizing that within these historical events, there are so many different experiences.
So many different perspectives.
Yeah, so many stories that need to be told.
Okay, so back to that question we were talking about before.
Okay.
How do we actually make sure that the Dawuro people's story and stories like theirs get the attention they deserve?
Well, the document has a few ideas.
Okay.
It suggests publishing a book, you know.
Oh, wow.
A whole book dedicated to their role in the battle.
A book. That's awesome.
To preserve their story, make sure future generations can access it.
And it could really spark more research, couldn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Like historians and archaeologists would be inspired to dig even deeper. That's what I love about this whole deep dive, you know?
To that.
It could be the start of something much bigger.
The catalyst for new discoveries.
Exactly.
And the whole new understanding of this part of Ethiopian history.
Okay, but a book is only one step, right?
Right.
The document also says their story needs to be in the new Adwa Victory Commemorative Museum.
Yes, it does.
Which is crucial, right?
It is. Museums play such a big role in shaping how people understand history.
And let's be real, sometimes museums can feel kind of, well, static.
A little bit.
Like they're presenting a fixed version of the past.
Yeah, they can accidentally perpetuate those simplified narratives we were talking about.
But they also have the power to challenge those narratives, right?
Exactly.
To encourage people to engage with history on a deeper level.
To see that there's always more to learn, more to uncover.
More perspectives to think about.
And I think that's what's so exciting about this idea of including the Dawuro people's story in the museum.
It's like history isn't just something that happened a long time ago.
It's alive, it's breathing.
It's about people and their experiences.
And their connection to the past.
Okay, I have a thought.
What is it?
What if we, challenged our listener to imagine themselves as historians for a second?
What do you mean?
What if they were tasked with uncovering the Dawuro people's story?
Oh, that's interesting.
What would they do? Where would they even start?
They could go through archives.
Yes.
Interview descendants.
Talk to people who have heard these stories passed down through generations.
And try to piece together all these little fragments of information.
And what if they found conflicting accounts?
Oh, that's a good point.
Or missing pieces of evidence?
Or what if the information was just hard to interpret?
It would be like a real historical investigation, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
With all the challenges and rewards that come with it.
It would show them that history isn't always neat and tidy.
And that it's a constant process of discovery.
Always reevaluating as new evidence emerges.
This whole deep dive, it's really shown me how complex history actually is. And how there are always more layers to uncover, more voices to hear.
And in the case of the Dawuro people in the Battle of Adwa, it feels like we're just scratching the surface.
Yeah.
There's so much more to explore.
So much more to learn.
And I think that's a perfect place to pause again, wouldn't you say?
I think so.
Let our listener absorb everything we've talked about.
And think about what they find most compelling about all of this.
We'll be back in just a bit to wrap things up.
And maybe even reveal a final piece of the puzzle.
Ooh, I like that.
Stay tuned. We're back for the final part of our deep dive, and we've been uncovering this really fascinating story about the Dawuro people and their potential role in the Battle of Adwa.
It's been quite a journey.
Has it?
We've talked about their contribution, the reasons why their story might have been overlooked.
And all those exciting possibilities for uncovering new evidence.
And we even asked our listener to step into the shoes of a historian.
Right, to imagine piecing together this historical puzzle.
I wonder what they're thinking right now.
I know, me too.
What stood out to them?
What questions popped into their minds?
It's so fascinating to think about.
But before we, wrap things up completely,
Yeah.
there's one more thing in this document. ed.pdf
Right.
that we really can't ignore. It's like a detail that could totally change how we view this whole search for the Dawuro people's story.
What is it?
It mentions that 3 Dawuro representatives actually traveled to Addis Ababa
Wow.
for the opening of the new Adwa Victory Commemorative Museum.
No way.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Isn't it?
It shows how much they care about this.
Great.
About making sure their community's history is recognized.
That it's part of the national story.
And it shows that this isn't just some theoretical debate happening in a classroom. This is a living, breathing part of their history.
It reminds you that history isn't just about dates and battles.
Yeah.
It's about people.
About their experience.
Their connection to what happened in the past.
And those representatives traveling all the way to Addis Ababa, that's a powerful statement.
It really is.
They're saying, hey, we're here.
Our ancestors were part of this.
And we want their bravery to be known.
They wanted to make sure that the museum, this place that's going to tell the story of Adwa,
Right.
that it tells a complete story.
An inclusive story.
One that includes their community.
That's so important.
Imagine being one of those representatives
No.
standing there in that museum surrounded by these exhibits.
Looking at all those artifacts.
Feeling that sense of pride, knowing your ancestors were part of it all.
And also that sense of responsibility.
To make sure their story is told the right way.
For future generations to hear it.
It makes you think, doesn't it?
About what?
History isn't just about the past.
No.
It's about the present and the future, too.
It shapes how we see ourselves.
How we understand our communities.
Our place in the world.
This whole deep dive has been such a journey.
It really had.
We started with one document. Yeah.
And it's taken us to all these big questions about history.
About representation.
Identity.
And the power of uncovering those hidden stories.
It just shows you that history is never really finished, does it?
Never.
There's always more to learn.
More to find.
More perspectives to consider.
And so we leave you with this thought.
Okay.
What other mysteries are out there?
Waiting to be solved.
What stories are lying dormant, just waiting for someone to come along and awaken them?
It's an invitation to keep exploring, isn't it?
To embrace the adventure of discovery.
So go forth, history enthusiasts.
And keep searching for those hidden truths.
Until next time.
Take care.